Hello everybody, welcome back to the Young Fan Podcast. Welcome to my League One Team of the Season. Who makes my Team of the Season? Who doesn't make my Team of the Season? So much to talk about, so many topics, so many players to discuss. What a campaign it has been. Some absolutely brilliant individuals. How am I going to crown them all into one starting 11? Well, the simple answer is I won't be able to. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of my Team of the Season, but most importantly, who have I got right? Who have I got wrong? I'm sure there'll be a lot of controversy surrounding my players, but most importantly, I want to hear your Team of the Seasons. Let me know in the comments down below. Leave a like, subscribe as well. Lots of content coming to the channel. Of course, we are coming to the end of this League One campaign, but the content doesn't stop. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell as well. You'll be notified when I go live or the recorded episode just like this one. Like I said, in the comments down below, so much controversy, so many players to talk about. Like I said, it's such a challenging task, and the reason behind that is there is just so many quality players in Sky Bet League One this season. And to put them all into one team is virtually, and I'm going to say it, it's completely impossible. I've tried my best. It's hard. It's very, very hard. So starting off then in the goalkeeper department, who are the nominees for my goalkeeper in this Team of the Season? Bazunu of Portsmouth, Cooper of Plymouth Argyle, and Stockade of Wycombe Wanderers. 3 goalkeepers, and just narrowing it down to just those 3 was so tough. And I mean, absolutely, at points, just the most, on its own, frustrating task. Bazunu for Portsmouth, a brilliant season. I know on loan from Manchester City. I think he'll go and have a brilliant career. I don't know what his future's like at Portsmouth. Whether or not he stays at Portsmouth next year, I don't know. But either way, just focusing on this year, so impressed with him. We talk about a loan deal that works for everyone. I mean, he's developed his career brilliantly well. He's certainly helped Portsmouth and Manchester City. I'm sure he'll be very impressed with what he's done out on loan, as well as what he's done for his club. I know we're sort of focusing on what he's done for Portsmouth in League One, but it's internationally as well. Bazunu's been brilliant for Northern Ireland this year as well. Certainly developed in that sense. So impressed with him. With Cooper as well, another young goalkeeper, Plymouth Argyle this year, although they did miss out on the playoffs on the final day. What would his future look like? I don't know if it matters, because what I would say, and linking on to that, it's a very big indication when you end the season if there's interest in you and what that interest is looking at. Top championship clubs looking at Cooper. I think that's a really big indication of what sort of season he's had. I think Plymouth this year have had an absolutely phenomenal season. Like I said, they just missed out on the playoffs, and his future may be a little bit in jeopardy because of how good he's been. But we talk about somebody that has just grown with Plymouth this year. Cooper is an absolute prime example of that. And then we move on to our final nominee in David Stockdale. He's had an absolutely exceptional year. And one thing I would say about David Stockdale, we talk about a goalkeeper that turns up when it matters. I watched all the playoffs games, but the game in particular, the second leg against MK Dons, of course, that Wycombe were involved in, I thought Stockdale was absolutely exceptional. Talk about a player that steps up when it matters. Talk about a player that in the big moments, in the moments that make the biggest difference, players can turn up and provide moments of magic between the sticks. And Stockdale was that. I thought he kept him in the tie at points. I think without Stockdale, MK Dons would be through and Wycombe would be out. I thought Wycombe were very good at what Wycombe do, but I think in terms of how MK Dons were looking going forward, the chances they created and the way that they attacked, the shots and the opportunities they created, Stockdale was almost an iron wall in front of that goal. Such a good goalkeeper, and again, we talk about a season as a whole. He's had a brilliant campaign. We'll talk about that game in particular. Absolutely exceptional. And for that reason, I've gone with Stockdale as my goalkeeper. And I'm going to be honest, like I said, just narrowing it down to 3 was tough. It was so difficult to choose between those 3 nominees. But like I said, I just edged David Stockdale in the end. But it could have easily been Cooper. Could easily have been Bazunu. Let me know who you would have gone with in the comments down below. I went with Wycombe Wanderers number 1, David Stockdale. An average rating on SofaScore of 7.06. 73% saves per 90. 144 saves across the season. And 19 clean sheets. A brilliant goalkeeper. Certainly warrants a place in my Team of the Season as my goalkeeper. David Stockdale, welcome. I'm happy with that. I think that's going to make a really good goalkeeper. So moving on to the centre-back position. Such a difficult position to do here. Of course, 2 places in my Team of the Season, which means double the difficulty because we've got double the nominees. We've got Watmore, Santos, Darling, McNally, Raggett, Scar, Ihiekwe of Rotherham United and Tafazolli of Wycombe Wanderers. Some absolutely brilliant shouts. In the end, I went with Rotherham United's Ihiekwe and I went with Tafazolli of Wycombe Wanderers. They're the players I could have gone with, but I could easily have gone with Santos of Bolton. He's had a brilliant campaign. Watmore, of course, Of course, title-winning Wigan side, darling of MK Dons. McNally, a brilliant campaign, debut campaign for Oxford United. Raga, again, we know the consistency he's had over the past few years at Portsmouth. We know the quality that he's got. Scar of Plymouth as well. But in the end, I went with Micheal Ihiekwe and Tafazolli. I want to have a little look at Martin Ihiekwe. By the way, I could be absolutely butchering that name. I really, really do apologise. But looking at his stats this season, he's been phenomenal. And Rotherham have been phenomenal this year defensively. Maybe they would have hoped to go away with a title and come away from this season with that league in the bag, but they're going to be promoted. They are promoted. They're playing the championship next season, and they'll be delighted by that. And they have all reason to be. That was their aim. That was their ambition. But defensively this year, we're going to talk about an individual here, Micheal Ihiekwe. But we also need to look at defensively across that whole back 3/5/ the vary of different formations and the way they like to play. But he's been such a key player for them this year. An average rating on SofaScore of 7.18, 3 goals, 3 assists, 20 clean sheets, 6 big chances created for a centre-back. That's bizarre, but very, very impressive. 3.8 clearances per 90. Check this heat map out, by the way. Absolutely everywhere. Absolutely all over the shop. And that, again, and that's what I mean about such a unique defensive aspect of Rotherham United's game. This is a centre-half. It's played left side of centre-back, right side of centre-back, even higher than that as well. Absolutely everywhere. I think what Paul Warner's done at Rotherham United and what these players have done within his side has been fascinating, but so good defensively as well. 4 Team of the Week appearances on SofaScore. He's a player I think is going to go straight into this Team of the Season. Lots of nominees, but he's the player I've gone with, Micheal Ihiekwe of Rotherham United. And next team I've gone with Ryan Tafazolli, an average rating of 7.25 for the Wycombe Wanderers man. We'll talk about a core, we talk about a stability in a side. I think Wycombe Wanderers have got that in absolute abundance. 5 goals this season, 16 clean sheets, 70% total duels won, 4 Team of the Week appearances, 5.4 clearances per 90. This is a player that is Gareth Ainsworth in every aspect of a footballer, and I mean that in the way that he wants his side to play. We talk about having that core strength. We've already got David Stockdale in goal. We're going to have maybe Joe Jacobson coming to my team this season. No spoilers, but he's at left back. We talk about players that are so important within a side. Ryan Tafazolli has been so good at that this year. Such a dominance in the air, but also, again, his ground duels have been very, very impressive this year. Over 70% for his ground duels. So very, very good in that aspect of the field. For me, that's a very, very strong defensive partnership. Micheal Ihiekwe and Ryan Tafazolli, but certainly a shout out for the other lads. Watmore, Darling, Raga, McNally, the list goes on. Some brilliant shouts and lots of different angles we could have gone with, but I've gone with them. Let me know who you would have gone with in the comments down below. So moving on to the left-back position, lots of shouts here. Grant, McLean, Leahy, Jacobson. I went with Jacobson. In the end, I went with Jacobson. Like I said, I could have gone with absolutely any one of these left-backs. And let me know who you would have gone with in the comments down below. But I went with Gareth Ainsworth's left-back in his Wycombe Wanderers side. Of course, heading to Wembley against Sunderland in this playoff final. How would he get on in that game? We'll have to wait and see. But if it was anything like what he's done in the 36 games that he's played this year, I think it'd be fine. I think it'd be absolutely fine. An average rating of 7.42, 3 goals, 5 assists, 7 big chances created. This player, again, we'll talk about a core. We talk about someone that just fits Gareth Ainsworth's style of play in absolute. If they're in boxes, he's ticking most of them, and that's the best way of describing him. He's somebody that's very, very good defensively, but offers that attacking threat going forward. 7 big chances created, I've already mentioned, but 11 clean sheets. That's the defensive aspect of his game coming into fruition. 2.2 interceptions per 90, 3.7 clearances per 90, 1.9 key tackles per 90, 11 Team of the Week appearances. This is a player that's been absolutely phenomenal in this Wycombe Wanderers side. We'll have to see what he does at Wembley, but like I said, if it's anything like he's done this year, looking at those statistics and watching him so good once again in those playoff games, I think he'll be fine at Wembley. And will he guide Wycombe Wanderers, of course, as the captain to the Championship? We'll have to wait and see. But Joe Jacobson is my left back in this Team of the Season. Right, moving on to the right back then. Not as many nominees for this one. I've got Sykes of Accrington Stanley, but I went with Edmunds-Green of Rotherham United. Another Rotherham United defender. We spoke about how good they've been this year, Edmunds-Green, and the quality that he's shown individually, in this Rotherham United side. On loan from Huddersfield, of course, but he's played at right back, he's played at right side of centre-back. He plays everywhere. And I think most Rotherham defenders play absolutely everywhere. They demand, and they have to be playing in all different types of positions. That's what Paul Warne wants from his players. But Edmunds-Green will be my right back. An average rating of 7.14, 3 goals and 3 assists, 5 big chances created. Again, Rotherham defenders having influence going forward. Such a good influence in that attacking, in that attacking phase. We'll talk about a defender or a centre back or a full back. The amazing amount of attacking statistic we could have highlighted. I've only spoken about 3 there, but we talk about a very, very good goal contribution, a very, very good chances created. His XG as well, in terms of XG created, is phenomenal. 9 clean sheets, 1.7 key tackles per 90, and 3 key clearances per 90 as well. So as well as he's very, very good going forward, defensively as well, very, very impressive. And again, we talk about somebody that can do both, defend and attack, in a right back / right centre back / wide centre half. It's crazy. It's crazy. And football's going mad in these positions in more specific detail. But Edmunds-Green is the player I've gone with, playing right back in my 4-3-3. For my team of the season this year. Let me know who would have gone with down below. Of course, not as many nominees I could highlight here. Let me know some more nominees that you could go with. And yeah, I'm intrigued to see what you've got to say in the comments down below. Right then, let's move on to the next position. Let's move on to the midfield now. We're going to be talking about our defensive midfielder. We're going to have to look at quite a few names, to be honest. Tom Naylor of Portsmouth, Morgan of Charlton Athletic, and Barlaser of Rotherham United. And I went with the latter. I went with Barlaser because I think, again, what he's done for Rotherham this year, very, very impressive. Quite a few Rotherham names so far, but I think that just shows that the sort of season Rotherham United have had. Daniel Barlaser is my defensive midfielder in this team of the season. An average rating of 7.29 on SofaScore, 9 goals and 7 assists in a bit more of a deeper role is absolutely fantastic. Such a good contribution in both areas. 10 big chances created, 1.9 key passes per 90, 1.8 key tackles per 90 as well, with 5 team of the week appearances. Daniel Barlaser has been so key. I think we talk about somebody that playing again in a more deeper role in front of that unique back 3 that Paul Warner and Rotherham United have played this season. But again, going forward, very, very impressive. I think he's going to be a fine midfielder in my 4-3-3 formation. But again, we talk about Tom Naylor, we talk about Morgan of Charlton. Again, some very, very good shouts there. But I went with Barlaser in the end. Who would you have gone with? Of course, we've got other midfield positions to talk about. And the next one I'm going to talk about is the right side of my midfield. So moving on to the other midfield options then. We're going to centre midfield a little bit deeper, and then we had a more attacking midfielder. So we'll start off with the more traditional centre midfielder first, and the players I got on here as a nominee were Neil, Kamara and Cameron Brannagan. I promised to try to get my bias away from this, but I just couldn't help it. I went with Cameron Brannagan. However, the other players, Kamara, Neil, could easily have been in this team of the season. And like I said, I keep saying it for every position, but it was so hard. With Neil, again, I got this sort of nomination because of the very, very highly rated plaudits he's been getting from Sunderland fans in the comments of a podcast I did quite recently. Very, very impressed by the amount of Sunderland fans so excited about this player's future, but also what he's done this year as well. So he certainly had a shout. And again, his stats don't look too bad at all. Very, very impressive. And with Kamara as well, I've watched him this year and been very, very impressed. I watched him at the start of the year when he played against Oxford, and quite near the end of the year when he played against Oxford as well, away from home. And even though there was such a gap in between the games that I watched him, he impressed me in both of those games almost equally. In fact, in the second game, he impressed me even more. Athleticism of a player like Kamara is absolutely ridiculous. We talk about someone who's the box-to-box of, I think, the highest level at this level, if you know what I mean. I think he's such a good player. So disappointing he got that injury before that final game of the season. What would that have looked like? I'm sure Plymouth fans will be living in hindsight in that sense. But I was so impressed with him. But I went with Cameron Brannagan. I stuck with what I knew. And I had to go with Cameron Brannagan. I'm sorry, I just did. I think he's been absolutely brilliant for Oxford United this season. I had to have at least one Oxford United player in this team of the season. And if I had to have one, it just would be Cameron Brannagan. An average rating of 7.33, 14 goals and 3 assists this season. A few penalties in there, but again, the assists this year have been very, very impressive. And the goals, again, away from penalties this year, have been very, very important for Oxford United. 3 big chances created, an 82% pass accuracy as well. That's to both his own half and the opposition half as well, so very, very consistent in the passing accuracy across the field. 2.4 tackles per game and 6 team of the week appearances. So moving on to the more attacking midfielder in this team of the season, Selina, Pritchard and Barry Bannan were the nominees. Selina, I think I nominated him as Ipswich Town's player of the season. A few Ipswich fans agreed, a few disagreed, which is absolutely brilliant. I like the opinion based of it. You watch your club every single week. Very, very impressed with Selina's numbers. I thought he was absolutely brilliant this year for Ipswich Town, although they probably didn't enjoy this campaign player they maybe would have wanted to. I think he was certainly a player that was very, very impressive on loan from Manchester City, if I'm not wrong. And Pritchard as well. I've just seen him play, of course, for Sunderland over the 2 legs of the playoffs against Sheffield Wednesday. Very, very impressed with what I saw from Pritchard. Such a creative spark, somebody that you get hold of the ball and you can get on the ball, and he'll just provide moments of magic. Very, very good from set pieces as well. But again, we'll talk about someone that can just take a game by, on his own really, and just sort of bring it to life. I think Pritchard's exactly that player. But I went with Barry Bannan as my midfielder in a more attacking position within this team of the season. I'm sure it'll be a bit of controversy between Barry Bannan and Alex Pritchard. Again, there was a bit of a battle between them in the playoffs. A lot of people said that Barry Bannan maybe didn't live up to expectations as much as they thought he would, and Pritchard maybe was better, but is that because Sunderland got through and Sheffield Wednesday didn't? I thought Barry Bannan's assist, or part assist, he didn't get the actual assist, did he? He went to Marvin Johnson for the assist for the Lee Gregory goal for the second leg, but his pass into Marvin Johnson for the first goal in the second leg for Wednesday was very, very impressive. Execution, the spot itself was phenomenal, and he's certainly a player that deserves to be in this team of the season. But like I said, Selina, Pritchard, they all deserve a shout. But Barry Bannan this season, 7.48 average rating, 9 goals and 12 assists this year, so very, very impressive with those goal contributions. 1.9 shots per 90, 10 big chances created. Very, very good going forward. Such a spark, such a creative influence for them this year. 2.7 key passes per 90, 79% pass accuracy. I could go on with those passing stats, and 10 team of the week appearances as well. Barry Bannan has been exceptional. Whether or not he maybe turned up, maybe exceeded your expectations, maybe didn't quite live up to your expectations in the playoffs, he's been brilliant across the year, been brilliant across the campaign. And I think he, in the second leg in particular, the first leg was very, very difficult. I don't think any Sheffield Wednesday player really sort of came to life in that first leg. I thought in the second leg, second half, a lot of Sheffield Wednesday players definitely did sort of show aspects of their quality, and Barry Bannan certainly was one of those players. For me, he has to be in this team of the season, and that makes up my midfield. Daniel Barlaser, Cameron Brannagan, and Barry Bannan. Right, moving on to the front three then. We're going to talk about the left winger first. Who have we got as a potential shout? We've got McConville of Accrington Stanley, and we've got Dapo off the line of Bolton Wanderers. Now, it was a bit of a toss-up between the two of them, but I looked at the stats, I looked at consistency, and I went with McConville. It might upset a few people. It probably will. A lot of Bolton fans, I think, watch the podcast, and I do apologise for that, and I am going to give it, and that's why I've got the nominees here, so I can give shout-outs to players that just miss out, and Dapo off the line, it's very, very close. We know what Dapo can do. We know the type of player Dapo is. Very, very good on the ball, the flair he can create. Again, we talk about players that are moments of magic players as we move on to these more attacking positions. We know these players can bring games to life, and Dapo off the line is exactly that type of player. But I went with Sean McConville. The stats this year, what he's done with Accrington, again, aside that, and also the Sean McConville's age, I think he's like 32 years old, and he's still providing such quality within this Accrington side. It's phenomenal. 4 goals and 14 assists, 19 big chances created. And again, I don't want to be disrespectful towards Accrington Stanley, but it's Accrington Stanley who, again, compared to a lot of teams in this league, very, very small budget, not the biggest of fan bases, and exceeding expectations year in, year out. Sean McConville, within that side, alone deserves some credit. 19 big chances created, 3.4 key passes per 90, and 5 team of the week appearances. For me, Sean McConville has to be in this team of the season. I'm sorry, Dapo, it's between the two of you. It's just edged with Sean McConville in the end. That is the first player in the more front three aspect of this team of the season. McConville is my left winger. Right, moving on to the right side, the right winger of this team of the season. My team of the season this year for League One. I couldn't go with anyone else, could I? I don't think I could have gone with anyone else. I don't think this player could miss out anywhere. I would have played him in goal if I had to. It was that important he was in here. Scott Twine of MK Dons. What a campaign this boy has had. Joined in the summer last year from Swindon Town. This player has not looked back. We talk about a player that's come into a league and blown it away. Well, Scott Twine is the definition of blowing a campaign out of the water. Highest average rating this season in the league. Average rating of 7.54. 13 assists. Yeah, 16 goals. 13 assists. Absolutely ridiculous. 29 goal contributions, 3.1 shots per game, 17 big chances created, 2.4 key passes per 90, and 80% pass accuracy. 11 team of the week appearances. And again, I don't know what Scott Twine's future is going to be for MK Dons. Now, they aren't going into the championship. They didn't get promoted in the end. Very, very disappointing stuff for MK Dons. But Scott Twine, whether they got promoted or not, whether they got relegated or not, He has been exceptional this year. The stats, the way he plays. I watched him, of course, in both legs against Wycombe Wanderers. Even when they lost the first leg, even though they did lose, I thought he was fairly good in that one. But in the second leg, when they won 1-0, he was a spark. He looked the business. Even though he didn't score, even though he didn't go through, he looked very, very impressive. And in particular, we're talking about the Plymouth game and the final game of the season. I mean, 4 goals on the final game of the season of that quality, a free kick, a variety of goals. That player, he could not miss out. Scott Twine is my right winger. Players to shout out, definitely Ronan Curtis. He's had a very good season for Portsmouth. I would have put him as a nominee on that right side. But unfortunately, if anyone can play on that right side this year, pretty much, I think Scott Twine probably would have gone ahead of them. So Scott Twine is my right winger in my team of the season. And finally, the striker position, the most difficult position to choose from. So many nominees, the most nominees out of every position. Such a hard task. I even thought about changing formation to try and get 2 strikers in here because it was so difficult. So many nominees. Matty Taylor for Oxford United. Keane, of course, of Wigan Athletic, won the league. Their top goal scorer. Cole Stockton, his goals alone pretty much kept Morecambe up. Alfie May, another newly promoted striker for Cheltenham Town this season. 4 goals against Wycombe Wanderers, earlier in the season. But again, 20-odd goals this year as well. Absolutely phenomenal. Vokes as well. We saw in the first leg his importance going forward, his goal scoring ability. But again, away from his goal scoring ability, what he does off the ball, the influence he has off the ball. Michael Smith of Rotherham United, the physicality, but again, the finishing ability. Such an all-round striker. And then Ross Stewart as well, of Sunderland, who I did go with, and I'm ready in the comments down below. It's so controversial, the striker position, because like I said, there's so many nominees, so many nominations for this position. The most, like I said, out of any position, because there's so many different routes you can take, types of strikers. People prefer different strikers. People say it's based on goals. People say it's based on, all-round goal contributions. There's so many avenues you can take. But I went with Ross Stewart in the end. An average rating of 7.23 on SofaScore, 23 goals, 3 assists this season, 8 big chances created, 1.3 tackles per 90, key passes per 90, and 7 team of the week appearances. The pace, the physicality. We saw it in the first goal against Sheffield Wednesday in that first leg. His pace, but again, the sort of, it is that physicality. It's that the worry that he sort of shifts onto the defenders of the opposition. It's absolutely brilliant and so important for him, but important for Sunderland. The goals he scored this season, so much significance. So I've gone with Ross Stewart. Again, I'm ready for the controversy in the comments down below. I'm ready for it, and I think it's going to be really, really interesting. I want to hear from you, of course, in those comments down below. But I went with Ross Stewart, and again, I could have spoken about all of those nominees up front, and again, I could have justified putting any of them in there, but I went with Ross Stewart in the end. Let me know who you would have gone with, and that's for all the positions, in the comments down below. Hope you enjoyed this episode of the podcast. Such a difficult task. Let me run through it in the end. A 4-3-3 formation. Stockade in goal. Ihiekwe and Tafazolli. Jacobson, Edmunds-Green, Barlaser, Bannan, Brannagan, McConville, Stewart and Scott Twine. That is the 4-3-3 team of the season. They are the individual players. But again, I've spoken about nominees within those positions. Try to be fair as I possibly can. Of course, a lot of people have their opinions on it. That's what football is all about. Let me know in the comments down below what you would have done differently. I look forward to replying and reading all of your thoughts. It's been such a brilliant season, so many incredible individuals. I cannot wait to sort of hear what you've got to say. So let me know, of course, in the comments down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed this episode of the podcast. So much content still to come. And again, as well, subscribe, notification about all that good stuff as well. Until next time, I've been Jack. This has been the Unfound Podcast. I'll see you all very, very soon. See you in a bit.